So I'm delighted to have with me today Mark Williams of GiraffePad. Now, GiraffePad are one of our fantastic approved suppliers. Um, and so I thought it was a great opportunity to get to know GiraffePad a little bit better. So, Mark, if I could start with what's the story behind GiraffePad?
That's always a good open question to get me going, isn't it? Well, listen, thanks for having me on here as well, James. It's a pleasure to be chatting with you and a part of the L&D Mastermind. So my background isn't techie, even though I'm talking to you about software product. I've run a training and coaching company for 18 years now, and GiraffePad essentially has grown out of some of the frustration. So not the frustration like love being in that workshop sense of working with a group of people, whether that be virtual, live, face to face, but the sort of vacuums of interaction that happen before a session and after a session used to get increasingly frustrating because it felt like even with clients that were really committed to learning, that often those sessions might be tick box approaches because very little happened afterwards. People would turn up unprepared, and so I was looking for a solution that could stretch out the session and engage the learner beforehand, help embed the learning afterwards. Couldn't find anything, and one sunny Sunday afternoon, gave myself a really big kick up the backside and said, you know what, let's build it this up. Let's see if we can come up with something. Little did I know how it would consume me 3 years later. But yeah, here we are 3 years later, a growing user base, a really established product, and it's growing beyond my dreams at the beginning in terms of the functionality and the things it can do. So it's been an exciting path to this point, really. So.
Yeah, what a great story. And, I think we can all agree that sometimes you can really feel that vacuum when you work in L&D and not having those touch points with our end users and learners. So what are the two main...
I was just
Sorry.
gonna say there, James. You reminded me as you said that is that the phrase "a camel that broke the straw's back." So
Hmm.
one day, a learner I'd worked with numerous times on various programs, and one of my best clients walked into the room we were using on a morning that we were starting a program. Walked in, bounded in, really enthusiastic, gave me a big slap on the back, said, "Hello, Mark, how are you? What are we doing today?"
Oh,
That was the straw. I said, "Right, I've got to do something about this." So,
yeah, no, I think we can all relate to that story, definitely.
mm.
So what are the two main benefits of GiraffePad?
So I mean, and I'll show you some of the functionality and the things that it does. But essentially, there's two elements to the benefits it gives someone who might use GiraffePad in their business. So on the one side, it helps you manage in a single place all of that chaotic administration that comes with a learning program and comes with a group of participants that you're engaging with and nudging and cajoling and coaching, mentoring towards the point that they need to get to. So things like joining instructions, things like sharing learning outcomes, things like descriptions of what the program might be about, things like all the learning content that you want to share, Zoom links, interaction between the learners, communication. That's either 7 different apps and an enormous number of emails, or using a platform like GiraffePad to bring it into that single place and automate some of it and make it really easy to get hold of and manage. That's one side of it, and that's almost grown with the product that we developed. It wasn't necessarily my initial starting point. My initial starting point was the other area, which is all about that learner engagement. And you mentioned that in something you were saying, Joe. And those touch points for the learner that says, I've always of the firm belief that most facilitators know, even if they're modest, they know they're good in that moment, either in the room or on the Zoom, engaging learners and creating a learning experience and challenging their mind and all the things we know we want to do. But when you're not with them, unless you've got someone that's unbelievably self-committed and responsible for their own learning, or someone has the most amazing learner or director, manager or director who really pushes and challenges them, unfortunately, those two things aren't always in place. It kind of dies a death either side. And
Yeah.
so it's the other benefit is it creates an easy single place where you can stretch out that engagement and you can engage with them from long before you're going to turn up on your Zoom session to as long after as you like. You can keep it going forever if you choose to really engage with a group and keep their learning journey going. And those are the two things, if you like, the sort of chaotic administration side, bring it all together in a neat, easy to manage single place, and providing an area, a safe space where the engagement just stretches out and makes it easy for you to have your impact long before and long after your live sessions. Those are the two key things, and there's a number of different features that kind of build towards helping you do that, essentially.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, that's the remit anyway. Shall I dive into it and share it with you and give you a quick walk around the main aspects of
Yeah,
it, so we can bring
please
that
do.
to
Please
life a
do.
little bit. Let's just have a look and dive in. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I'm more than happy to do a more detailed demonstration for anyone that might choose to have a look at this. So rather than walk through the entire account that a trainer or facilitator might create, I thought we'd focus in purely on that sort of learning journey that you can create for your participants in here and see how the administration all falls to place. So what you're seeing here on the dashboard is these are all different learning programs, all with their own unique, secure group of participants, all with their own communication channels, all with their own curated resources around the right stage of that learning journey. And GiraffePad allows you to create as many of those as you like, and they can scale. You can have an individual person on there for a coaching program. You could have 95 people on there, which I think is our record at the moment. And we've got one user at the moment that's just starting a program next week with 21 facilitators and 970 participants. And whilst I know GiraffePad will cope with it amazingly, it's put a couple of extra grey hairs on my head just thinking about those numbers and managing them. So I'll go into this particular program page here and show you what this looks like. So the image you can embed in here, which creates a nice colourful starting point, also sits on the tile on their dashboard. You have a sort of title of the program, your logo embeds there to give it some branding. You can create a description here so you can share with them straight away. So it's almost like a scene set for exactly what they're going to get for going through this particular program, and you can edit to put whatever you like in there. You can set the program objectives. It sounds a simple thing, doesn't it? But making it really clear why someone's coming along here, what they can expect to gain to going out of this. And whatever you share in here is shared with the learner's account page. You can have as many of those, as few of those. You can edit them. We don't restrict people as to how they might set up their programs. You can have multiple facilitators on a program, and individuals can run different sections of the program, or you can co-facilitate on there. So it scales to the different sides of learning organizations. And then down here, you can see we've got a list of all of the events that are part of this particular learning program. And these events can essentially be a live face-to-face session, should we ever get back to that. They can be a Zoom session, like the virtual sessions we might run for a couple of hours, or they can be non-facilitated learning activities. So you can run a properly blended program. You can set it to run in the order that you choose, and you can invite the participants in and share it with them at any point in time. So I'll go into those in a moment. We've got a list of learners on here. You might see some familiar faces. It's getting famous these days. Very easy invite process, just via the email. You invite them in and they get an invite to register on GiraffePad. They get their own account. All learner accounts are completely free. We never charge the learner at all, and they've got complete access to their own account. And you've got a resources hub here for the program, so you can share resources that can be anything from PDFs, Word documents, spreadsheets, JPEG images. You can embed videos in here that they can watch directly in GiraffePad, so it creates a nice, easy user experience. And then you've got a group chat function down here where as an encrypted instant messenger channel, so you can start to create a bit of a learning community, and all the learners can communicate with each other, with the facilitator. So that, coming back to this engagement bit, the moment you create this program could be weeks before your first live session, but you can start posing questions in the chat, sharing ideas. And so people arrive in that first session certainly not saying, why are we here today? It's more like, can't wait to get started. That's the general idea behind it.
Brilliant.
And then you create this program event. So for example, I go into this particular event here, and again, we've got a description of what this particular session is going to be like. You can set your specific event objectives so that they know exactly what they're getting from this particular session. The facilitator has their start Zoom meeting button, so you don't need to go into Zoom, you don't need to share Zoom links. The participants get a join Zoom meeting button in their page. And then we've got a list of learners that are going to attend this particular event. With each learner, you get a personal engagement with them, so they can set their personal objectives. And I know most facilitators would agree, knowing exactly why someone is coming along makes a big difference to you being able to tailor that message exactly to whatever their needs are. They can store their actions on the day. So what are they going to do as a result of attending this session? So it's easy for you to follow up and to nudge them to embed whatever learning they've said they're going to commit to. They can add their feedback. They can upload resources privately to you, and so can the facilitator. So you can share resources with a wider group, but if you've got private things like personality profiles, for example, or individual feedback, or if they want to share a video of themselves doing something, and then you can record feedback on that. So you have individual content sharing as well as group content sharing. And you get a private chat channel with each individual learner as well, so you can communicate privately. And you get information like that on all of the learners on that event. And you go
I've just
down.
noticed that was Daniel Craig.
Yes, he's one of our favourite learners actually, and Naomi comes along as well. I think we've got Julie Dench in there somewhere. So my developer is a little bit of a Bond fan. So
Oh, fantastic. And I love how, as you say, you can communicate with the entire group as well as with an individual, because we all know there's sometimes where you need to get a communication out to everyone,
yeah,
and then there's sometimes where you need to speak to learner, on an individual basis. So that's it just gives you all those options, doesn't it? It's
yeah,
brilliant.
and you haven't got to switch between your email and back to a Dropbox account for content or back over to WhatsApp for an instant messenger. You've got it. The idea is to try and keep as much of it in a single place so that it's the go-to place for both the facilitator and the learners as much as possible.
Brilliant.
And then you can see you can add relevant resources to each individual event. So you can curate the resources rather than give this huge big bundle of stuff that they have to work through. You can share general resources of the program, or you can curate them specifically for each individual event. You can embed video each time. And again, you get a group chat per event that you run as well. So you can have a focused conversation around that particular topic rather than one long conversation all the time at the program level. You've also got flexibility, such as you can create cohorts. So for example, here I've got, let's see how many learners I've got on there. I've just got 5 of the learners on here rather than all of them. So even though you might have 10, 20 learners on a program, you can break them into different cohorts and groups, and they have their own secure little page to work on that particular subject. You could set up an individual coaching session in here via Zoom, and you can manage essentially everything that goes into that program all in here. Each time you load a resource, they get a notification. When you invite the learner into a different event as part of the program, they get an email reminding them that it's in there so they can go and engage. They get these yellow badges for the chat so they know when there's messages in there. So you can start to create this kind of community around a learning event that is way beyond just the 3 hours you might be on Zoom and the sort of video tasks you might have set them as a follow-up exercise. So without too much work and too much effort, you create a full learning journey with a group of participants, really easy to access on mobile. So it works a little bit like an app on mobile. You can have it permanently open with an icon downloaded on your phone. So the messaging and the notifications, learners can keep on top of really, really seamlessly without logging in. And yeah, essentially all of your resources, all your communication, all your admin, all your engagement in a single space. And you can create as many of these as you like. You can see out here, we've got this one. Again, you've got an image in there to embed it. You've got your specific objectives. You've got your program. You've got your resources and all your learners. And each single program is a secure space that can be run for different clients, different groups, different participants. Only the people added into that particular program are the ones that engage with the information that's in there. And it scales as many as you like. Like I said, we've got a client running one with multiple trainers and not far of 1,000 learners. We've also got coaches that run programs for individuals and just have their coaching sessions scheduled via Zoom as part of the program. So there's other functionality in there, but I thought to give a little bit of an overview of how that learning journey comes together for the participants. That's essentially how GiraffePad works as a learning platform.
Brilliant. And I love the clean design of it. That's really, really good. Really
It
simple
was
to use.
important to me. I think I mentioned I'm not particularly techy, and so I wanted it to be easy to use. And I do find not all, and it's a bit of a generalization, but a lot of trainers and facilitators are quite creative individuals, aren't they? We have to be with the nature of what we do. And so we're quite visual and we want it to look nice on the eye. I think software that is clunky and dark and foreboding immediately makes you want to come out of it straight away, doesn't it? So we needed something that was kind of compelling and drew you into it rather than go, "Ooh, what's that?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So
No,
that's essentially that's a whistle stop tour of GiraffePad. Obviously, there's far more in it, and we give much more detailed demos when we're going through with individual customers. So.
yeah. So, if any of our members are interested in a demo, Mark, how do they get in touch? How do they organize a demo with you?
So our website, which is www.giraffepad.com, has got a booking system on there. Really easy. It uses Calendly, so you can find a time that suits you to book a sort of 45-minute to an hour slot, and we can go through it in more depth and detail. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Mark Williams, GiraffePad on LinkedIn, you'll find me, I think, and you'll see various posts around the features we're doing and the development work that's coming. And also I'm part of your wonderful network, James, as well. So I'm on the Mighty Networks, and I'll be on your Fab app when you've got that up and running. And they can contact me via there if they choose to as well. So
excellent.
we're really accessible.
No, brilliant, Mark. Thank you so much for the very short demo and for telling us more about GiraffePad.
No, you're welcome, James. I really appreciate the time, and it's always good to chat with you.
Excellent.
Thanks, James.
Cheers.